Yo, what's going on, guys? Today I'm going to be going over the MLB slate on DraftKings for Sunday, April 15th. We have 11 games on Sunday's main slate. We actually got 10 games. There is a game that got postponed already, White Sox Twins. That game will not be on the slate. So 10 games today, 10 games on the main slate. Before we get started looking at some pitchers today, some hitters that we want to target, make sure you guys drop a like on the video. I would really appreciate it. And if you are new to the channel, make sure you click that subscribe button down below so that way you'll never miss out on any of my new videos. But yeah, guys, looking at pitcher today, the aces that we want to target, there are definitely plenty of them on this slate. Right now I'm seeing 5 aces on this slate. We actually have 6 guys that are over 10K, but Chris Archer, he actually pitched on Saturday, so he's not going to be pitching today. I'm not sure why he's listed in the probable starters. So our 5 pitchers over 10K are Noah Syndergaard, Severino, Shohei Ohtani, Strasburg, and Chris Sale. A lot of good options here. Definitely my favorite option on this slate, and the guy I'm trying to pay up for is Chris Sale at $12,400 against Baltimore. I just always target Chris Sale. I always consider him. Anytime he's on a slate, the guy has such a high floor. He's a great cash play anytime he's on the slate. Great tournament play as well. Chris Sale, out of all the pitchers on this slate, I feel like has the most strikeout upside. And there are some strikeouts up and down this Orioles lineup, especially guys like Chris Davis. Even you have guys getting platoon split like Beckham, Machado, Valencia, Mancini. But getting these guys against Chris Sale, obviously Chris Sale is not your average lefties. A lot of these guys that are right-handed in the Orioles lineup, they obviously don't strike out as much versus lefties. But like I said, Chris Sale, not your average lefty. I know he had a lot of big games against them last year. I know he had a game where he went for like 12, 13 strikeouts against the Orioles. Could definitely happen again today. I think Chris Sale just has the most upside out of all the pitchers on the slate, the highest floor as well. There are other options you could go to. I do like, you get nearly $2,000 in savings if you play Noah Syndergaard against the Brewers, and I do like that spot. I don't mind going down from Sale and playing Syndergaard here if you want to do that. But right now, I feel like there's a lot of cheap bats I like, and it's pretty easy to fit Chris Sale in, especially since there's an SB2 that I like that's pretty cheap as well. So since I have this salary to pay up for Chris Sale, since there are cheap bats I like, there's a cheap SB2 I like, might as well play the guy that has the highest floor and ceiling, I feel like, out of all the pitchers going today. So I'm looking to pay up for Chris Sale. And then the SP2 that I like, he's not listed in the player pool, at least as a probable starter, but he is expected to pitch today. That is Blake Snell at 7K against the Phillies. Like I said at the beginning, Chris Archer is listed here in the probable starters, but he's not going to pitch today. He pitched Saturday, and it looks like it is Blake Snell's turn to pitch on Sunday. So if Snell is in the rotation and if he's going to pitch today, I do like him here at 7K in a matchup with the Phillies. I like that Blake Snell is going to be pitching at home here in Tampa Bay, Tropicana Field, one of the more pitcher-friendly parks. And I like this matchup with the Phillies. There are obviously some righties in this lineup that are pretty dangerous, like Rhys Hoskins, Scott Kingery been hitting the ball well. Even guys like Santana versus righties, Cesar Hernandez. But there are definitely lefties in this lineup as well that will strike out a lot versus lefties. Abdul Herrera, Nick Williams, down towards the bottom of the lineup. You don't have very good hitters. Altair's got power, but another guy that will definitely strike out. So I just feel like Blake Snell's a really good option here. I do like Dylan Bundy, 7.4K, but against the Red Sox, I think Bundy's a great pitcher. I think he's too cheap at 7.4K. But that matchup with the Red Sox definitely scares me. I feel like this is a scary spot for Dylan Bundy. So for that reason, I'm not going to go to him, even though he's pitched really well this year. I don't target pitchers against the Red Sox. They don't strike out. They put the ball in play. So I like Snell's matchup a little bit more than Bundy's. And I feel like Snell at 7K is a nice pairing with Chris Sale. Still leaves you over $3,800 remaining per player for your hitters, which you can definitely work around today. There are a lot of cheap bats I like. There's a cheap stack I like that we'll get onto later in the video. But just looking at pitchers, Sale and Snell are my two options that I really like. And then if we talk about some of the other pitchers, like I mentioned, if you don't want to pay up for Sale, I do like Noah Syndergaard as a SP1 option away from Sale. You get $2,000 in savings. Syndergaard has a lot of upside here against the Brewers. He'd definitely be my favorite option. Luis Severino, I think, is another good option as well against the Tigers if you wanted to play him. Strasburg at 11.3, I'm not very interested in. I'd just rather go down to Severino or Syndergaard. And Shohei Ohtani, I think, is a good option as well, but I feel like Severino and Syndergaard might have a little bit more upside than Ohtani. So those are pivots away from Sale, Severino and Syndergaard you could go to if you don't want to play Sale. And then finding the SP2s that you can pair with your expensive pitcher Carmart at 9,900, I'm not sure I really want to go to against the Reds. I just don't really like this spot for him. That's a dangerous Reds lineup, especially since they roll out a lot of lefties. Carmart, we know, really struggles with lefties. You got guys that definitely will not strike out, like Joey Votto, Scooter Gennett, Winker, Billy Hamilton. These guys versus a righty do have some pretty low K rates, so I'm kind of scared about Carmart here. Same with Tyler Chatwood against the Braves. We obviously know the Braves lineup, not very dangerous, but a lineup that does not have a lot of strikeouts in it. Guys that will put the ball in play. Kind of scared about Chatwood. Ivan Nova, I just feel like doesn't have a lot of upside, even though he's facing the Marlins, and that's a great matchup. Nova he doesn't have strikeout stuff. He just throws the ball in the zone. He pitches to contact, and that kind of scares me on this slate. Dylan Bundy is a guy that I do like for tournaments. If you want to take that risk against Boston, would not surprise me at all if Dylan Bundy put up another good game here. He's been really good through 3 games with the Orioles. So far this year, 26, 23, and 28 DraftKings points. Some of those were tough matchups as well, especially against Houston. He managed to put up 23 DK points. Bundy is too cheap for the talent that he has. But like I said, that matchup with the Red Sox is very scary. I do like Snell at 7K if he pitches today for the Rays, but you could go to Bundy at 7,400. And that's really it for options that I like at pitcher. Mainly the SP2 plays for me are Snell and Bundy. If you wanted to play Ivan Nova or Chatwood, I guess you could go to these guys, but I'd just rather get the saving, go down to Snell or Bundy. So that's it for pitcher. Now if we look at some hitters for this slate, some bats we want to target, going to second base, there's one of my favorite plays at this position. I believe he's third base eligible as well. Matt Carpenter, absolutely love him here at 3,500 against Homer Bailey. This is such a good matchup for Matt Carpenter. He's too cheap in my opinion given the matchup. Homer Bailey, not a good pitcher. There's a lot of good bats up and down this lineup. A lot of cheap bats is in that. Dexter Fowler, we'll talk about in a second. I really like here at 3.7K. Matt Carpenter, obviously. Even guys like Martinez that have power. Ozuna, Tommy Pham. Just a lot of good hitters in this lineup. It's a great ballpark to hit in Cincinnati. One of the best hitters parks. I just love Matt Carpenter here. I believe he's got some decent BVP as well. He's 18 for 33, a 545 average versus Homer Bailey, a big sample size. So Matt Carpenter, second base or third base, you're looking for a cheap play. I think he makes a lot of sense today at 3,500. And then my next 2 plays to fill out my 5 are both going to come from the outfield. In the 4K range, really like Ian Happ today, 4,100 against Julio Teheran. We know that Julio Teheran really struggles with lefties. Ian Happ, batting from his left side here, he's a switch hitter. He'll be batting from his left, and he does have a lot of power from his left side. He's projected to bat leadoff today, and I think this is a spot where the Cubs are going to put up a ton of runs versus Teheran. We saw them put up like 12, 13 runs Saturday. Don't think they're going to put up that amount today, but would not be surprised if they're able to get to Teheran and get like 5 or 6 runs off of him. There's just a lot of good lefties in this lineup, guys with power, especially Happ. Kyle Schwarber, I think, is a really good play. Even guys like Zobrist, Hayward, those are guys that have definitely put the ball in play, make contact. And lefties versus Teheran, that's going to be a thing we target all year. So I really like Ian Happ, Zobrist, if you want to play him at second base or the outfield. He's cheap, 3.6K. I think Schwarber could definitely hit a home run here versus Teheran. He's only 4.5K. A lot of good power bats in this lineup, Ian Happ being one of them. Really like him in this spot versus Teheran. 4,100, I think he's a great play in the outfield. And then my final play, also in the outfield, getting some more exposure to the Cardinals today. I do like Dexter Fowler. I think this is also a great spot for him versus Homer Bailey. He also has solid BVP versus Bailey. He's done well against him. 4 for 11, 364 average. And like I said earlier, Homer Bailey, he's just not a good pitcher. I love the Cardinals today. One of my favorite stacks, probably my number 1 stack on the slate, just because they're cheap. They have a high implied run total. They're facing a bad pitcher in a good hitter's park. It looks like we do have some weather concerns in this game, but I don't really get deep into weather till like the day after. I'm recording this Saturday night. If there are some weather concerns and this game has a chance of being postponed, then obviously you want to get off some of these guys. But we'll know more about that Sunday morning, so make sure you're checking on weather. But if the game does play, then obviously some of these Cardinals bats are some of the best hitters on the slate, in my opinion, at least for value. Fowler, Carpenter being 2 of them, just too cheap for the matchup. Homer Bailey, a bad pitcher, struggles versus lefties. 2 good lefties here, and Fowler and Carpenter that I really like for dirt cheap. So yeah, guys, these are my 5 plays for today. Chris Sale, Blake Snell, Matt Carpenter, Ian Happ, and Dexter Fowler. Now if we want to look at some of the implied run totals on this slate, some of the top stacks, or some of my favorite stacks, Number one for me is the Cardinals at 5.1 implied runs versus Homer Bailey. Love them, one of my favorite stacks on the slate. And then if we look for other stacks, there isn't a lot I love, like team stacks at all, but maybe it's like some of the righties from the Angels you could do versus Skoglund, especially like Ian Kinsler, who is really cheap at 3.9K. If you wanted to move Carpenter to third base and then plug in Kinsler at second base, I think that definitely makes sense. Upton and Trout are obviously great plays if you can fit them in. Do like some of the righties from the Angels. If we look towards the top, I think you can consider some of the Yankees today against Liriano. Liriano, not the best pitcher. You could definitely take some of these righties against him. Guys like Judge, Stanton, Sanchez, these guys are going to be expensive, but you do have some value here with Tyler Austin. Even Aaron Hicks, projected at leadoff, he's only 3.2K. You can find some value in this lineup. But if we're just talking about team stacks that I'm looking to target their lineup from top to bottom, that's definitely the Cardinals for me. But yeah, that's really it for stacks and implied run totals. Now if we look at BVP, some of the top BVP plays on the main slate, a lot of the big sample size BVP plays are coming from the Cardinals today against Homer Bailey. Obviously Carpenter, 18 for 33. Yadier Molina's 15 for 39 with 3 home runs versus Homer Bailey, so he has really good BVP. Adrian Gonzalez is 8 for 22 with a home run versus Julio Chacin. Some of these Red Sox have hit Bundy well. Christian Vasquez is 5 for 12. Sandy Leon, 3 for 10. Jackie Bradley, 6 for 17 with a home run. Mookie Betts, 6 for 22, but 2 of his 6 hits were home runs. And then another really good sample size play. Game's going to be off the main slate. The game got postponed, but Wellington Castillo has some great BVP against Lance Lynn. But too bad that game got postponed. Won't be able to consider that. Freddie Freeman, 7 for 13 off of Tyler Chatwood. And that's really it for the main slate, at least for like big sample size BVP plays. Mainly like Matt Carpenter, Yadier Molina. Those are some of the top plays. Adrian Gonzalez, I guess, you could go to. But now if we look at pitchers, PVB, some of the pitchers that have done well in their matchups. To no surprise, Chris Sale has done really well in the past versus the Orioles. Orioles have really struggled to hit him, only hitting him for a 207 average. They're only 24 for 116 against Sale. They struck out 40 times in 116 at-bats, so if you do the math, that's about over a 30% K rate that Chris Sale has had versus the Orioles. So he's in a great spot here. Sale is a great play in my opinion. The pitchers that have done poorly, Dylan Bundy has really struggled to the Red Sox. That's not really a surprise. The Red Sox, they're just such a good lineup. Not a lot of strikeouts. Bundy hasn't gotten many strikeouts in the 125 at-bats that the Red Sox have seen against him, only 15 Ks. I'm scared about Bundy here, but if you wanted to roll the dice in tournaments, I don't mind it. Homer Bailey really struggled against the Cardinals. That just makes me like the Cardinals even more. The Cardinals have crushed him for a 443 average, 54 hits and 122 at-bats with 5 home runs. And Julio Chacin has struggled against the Mets. The Mets have hit him for a 306 average, 30 hits and 98 plate appearances. But yeah, guys, that's really it for BVP and PVB. That's really it for this video. Hopefully you guys did enjoy the video. Hopefully it helped you. If you did enjoy, just make sure you click that like button down below. Lets me know you enjoyed the video. And if you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you do that as well. Make sure you click that subscribe button so that way you'll never miss out on any of my new videos. If you have any questions, feel free to DM me on Twitter at the DFS_GOAT. Or if you don't have a Twitter, you can just leave a comment down below. I will get back to you as soon as I possibly can. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much it. I really appreciate you watching the video. Good luck today on this slate. Peace.